It's a Thought Police free zone. The Liberty Lineup Radio Show, where independent thought just can't be bought.
I'm an American. Red, white, and blue. And I'm a citizen of this world and of heaven. Some things were meant to be together. I believe in faith and freedom. Got a country too. I believe with faith and freedom, we're gonna make it through.
And welcome to the Liberty Lineup Radio Show. I'm Jeff Chamberlain here in the studio, the Hollywood Y Guy, right here on the Liberty Lineup Radio Show. Sundance is in full swing up in Park City right now. Great documentary on the iconic TV producer Norman Lear. We'll be talking about that. We have a special guest, Chris Briels, the resigned fire chief from Burns, Oregon, will be calling in and telling us what's really going on up in Oregon, coming up right now.
Stay strong, 'cause everything's on the line. We gotta rise up, we gotta stay strong to save our
And welcome to the Liberty Lineup Radio Show. This is Friday show. I'm the Hollywood Y Guy, Jeff Chamberlain, here in the studio this morning, right on K-Talk Radio, AM 630, 801-254-5855, 801-254-5855. Feel free to call in. We're going to have some guests on this morning. You'll want to hear their story. Calling it from Burns, Oregon, we have a special guest, the recently resigned fire chief, Chris Briels, is going to be calling in. He's going to be telling us the real story. You're hearing one side of the story if you're listening to the mainstream media, and of course, there is another side to the story. No better place to hear that story from those folks who have their so-called boots on the ground. These are local residents. Very controversial what's going on up there. We will have him on the show coming up this first hour. You don't want to miss that. Of course, in the news, we've got a lot going on. I want to thank you for joining us this morning. I'm wondering, it's still January, how are those New Year's resolutions holding up? I know I've got a list of them. I'm plowing through them. I just want to give you a little encouragement out there. Come on, you can do it. It's another day. It's another week. We're still in January. Let's hold on to those resolutions. Let's make our life better, a little happier, make the people around us a little happier too. Love to hear from you later on in the show. Our number again, 801-254-5855. That's 254-5855. And we have a sponsor. As you know, if you've listened to this show before, we do have a sponsor we're really happy to have. And we do want to thank them. We want to thank them a lot. And this is EOS Mobile. They are the only cell phone service that gives you the peace of mind to know that your monthly bills are being supported and are supporting only conservative candidates and causes of your choice, including this show. Call in 877-367-7524. That's their number. Call this number, 877-367-7524, and be among the first 10 callers during this show today. You're going to get a special offer if you mention the Liberty Lineup Radio Show. Call now, 877-367-7524, 877-367-7524. I want to make sure you get that special offer. For more information, you can also go to eoscell.com. That's EOSCELL.com. Lots of information there, and we are really happy to have them as a sponsor. Welcome to the Friday show. Welcome to the Friday show, absolutely. You know, the Liberty Lineup Radio Show is one that is an everyday show, of course, Monday through Friday, 10 to noon, and every day is a different set of different hosts. But we all work together on the Liberty lineup. All of us are liberty lovers, covering the issues you want to know about, issues that affect our faith, our family, our freedom, our liberty, and these are relevant, hot topics that we're all concerned with, and often, more often than not, you're going to get another side of the story. That's why you want to listen to us here on the Liberty Lineup Radio Show. Well, we've got lots going on in the news, and we've got Oscars that are being boycotted. Trump is getting endorsed. Let me play this little clip for you. Let's see how that works.
Mr. Trump, you're right. Look back there in the press box. Heads are spinning. Media heads are spinning. This is going to be so much fun. Are you ready to make America great again? We all have a part in this. We all have a responsibility. Looking around at all of you, you hard-working Iowa families, you farm families.
Okay. We're going to hear a little bit more about the latest endorsement, Sarah Palin. I'm curious to know how you feel about it. Give me a call. Is this going to be good for Trump? Is it going to be good for the country? Is this good for Sarah Palin? How did she come across to you? Of course, I'm the Hollywood Y guy. I'm always looking at the performance as well as the substance. How did she come across to you? Did she raise her stock in your eyes? Did she diminish it? Is she strong? Is she principled? Why do you think she's coming out now to endorse Donald Trump? If you've got any opinions on that, give me a call, 801-254-5855, 254-5855. Love to hear from you. I've got some opinions I'll be sharing with you for sure coming up just a little bit later on. We've got the Duck Dynasty. Willie Robertson also just came out endorsing Donald Trump. He's, of course, the very, I guess he's becoming almost iconic in many different ways, television star of Duck Dynasty. He came out and he endorsed Donald Trump Thursday, saying Trump has two attributes that America needs. What are those two attributes? What do you think they are? The two attributes that he notes is success and strength. Do you think Donald Trump embodies those attributes? Give me a call. Let me know. Success and strength. And would you say that's what this country needs right now? Do we need success and strength? Would you add to that list? If you would, what would you say? Robertson says this. He says, Mr. Trump is a real leader. And obviously, he knows how to close deals. He's written a book on it, The Art of the Deal. And he says that, yes, he does represent success and strength, and to him, that is really, really important. Of course, it's important, I think, to all of us in our elected officials generally, but particularly the President of the United States. Trump says this, I'm honored, truly honored, to receive Willie's endorsement. What do you think that means to Trump? Did you hear his recent statement? What was it, Liberty University this last week, when he was talking about Corinthians, 2 Corinthians, by the way. I'm not exactly sure that's how we, it is kind of funny when you think of it. One of those faux pas that'll probably follow him around. Love to hear from you about that, if you caught that, when he quoted 2 Corinthians in an effort to galvanize support from the evangelical community. Is it a little disingenuous? From my perspective here, of course, as a Hollywood guy, previous actor and director, such things as authenticity in a performance is always something that is high on my list. And how do these, I'm curious as to how these candidates are faring in your eyes. Are they authentic? Do they sound authentic? What they are saying, is it cohesive? I'm very, very curious to hear what you say. 801-254-5855, 254-5855. A little bit more coming up on that, but we've got these boycotts going on. led last week. I think the first one coming out was Spike Lee. I remember Spike Lee, probably, I don't know when it was, maybe 20 years ago now. Sundance, of course, I've been attending Sundance since its beginning. That might be over 30 years ago, 31, 32 years probably, actually. And his very first film that came out was a little film, as I recall. It was called She's Gotta Have It. And it was a little exploitation film. It was well received. And Spike Lee, of course, has risen in his career. He came out and said, basically, that he's asking the question, how is it possible for the second consecutive year that all 20 contenders under the acting category are white? He didn't like that, and let's not even get into the other branches. 40 white actors in 2 years, et cetera, et cetera. He had some things to say about that, which we can't say on the air. He says and suggests that, of course, there's no coincidence to this, and for that reason, he's advocating a boycott. And, of course, there's some great performances this last year from some excellent black actors, Concussion being one of them. Of course, Will Smith is the star of that. I really enjoyed his performance. I thought it was a good movie. I was walking into it somewhat skeptical, but it turned out to be a really good movie, and he really did do a great job. Creed is another movie. I thought the young guy in that, what a great job he did. I don't think it was Academy Award winning material, but I did think it was really quite exceptional. Love that movie. Probably second to the original Rocky. We've got a caller on the air. We want to welcome you to the Liberty Lineup Radio Show. This is the Hollywood White Guy. Welcome.
It's kind of not a surprise, though. You know, Hollywood is probably one of the most racist business models on the planet for the supremacist film industry. But
why do you say that? Why do you say that?
Because I think, you know, and I don't want to sound anti-Semitic, but it's controlled, it's Jewish controlled, and for whatever reason, they seem to have a huge problem with black folks in the world, not just America. But you know, I think it's just another notch for divisive rhetoric to upset people, because we have BET, Black Entertainment Television. We got the Ebony Awards. What's the other one? Some magazine. But,
right.
You know, it's kind of like Black Lives Matter. You know, they go to the places where you can affect the least amount of change, restaurants and other public venues where people try.
Oh, sorry about that. Call back in. We accidentally lost you there, my friend. Give me a call back in if you can. We want to finish that up. Of course, you reminded me of recently Stacey Dash, who kind of weighed in on this topic on the other side of it. And of course, she is a very conservative actress and often Fox News contributor. She was... Yes, she weighed in on it, and she said that she thinks it's actually ridiculous that we have to make our minds up. Either we want to have segregation or integration, is what she said. And if we don't want segregation, then we need to get rid of channels like BET and et cetera, and the NCAAP awards, Image Awards, et cetera, et cetera. That's what she had to say. Welcome back to the show, my friend.
That's me.
Yes,
so,
you're on.
In finishing that thought, you know, it's kind of, in my belief, is that racism is natural, and you know, it's why zebras don't hang out with rabbits and so forth. But they're using that natural emotion. It's a very close and intimate emotion to, as far as race goes, in regards to ourselves.
Right.
I don't know why, but we just feel comfortable. If you're white, hanging out with white people. If you're black, you hanging out with black people, and that's a natural thing.
It's natural. So you bring up a really interesting point. You know, we want to bring this topic up a little bit later on in the show, second hour. I'd love to circle back around. We're going to be talking about this in more detail. You bring up a great point, which is how natural is it? It is the kind of natural thing that we should accept as a society, and are we defining racism in a way that really is appropriate? And we will be talking about this later on. Thank you for joining us.
Would love, dude.
You got it. Thank you, my friend. And this is K-Talk Radio, the Liberty Lineup Radio Show. Jeff Chamberlain. We are going to be back after the other side of the break with our special guest, Chris Briels, who's going to be joining us from Burns, Oregon, to give us a detailed description of what's going on the ground from his perspective. We will be right back.
Are you living with old and ugly carpet? You want new carpet, but it's just too expensive, right? We know what you mean. Introducing $3 Carpet, the most affordable carpet solution on the planet from the exclusive trade show carpet reseller. Our beautiful carpet used for only 2 to 3 days is still just like brand new, but we sell it to you starting at only $3 a yard. It normally sells for $10 to $12 a yard. You'll be blown away. Normally $12 a yard, now just $3. So don't live with that ugly carpet anymore. Call $3 Carpet. It's only $3 a yard. That's 33 cents a foot. Most of our customers save up to 60%. In Draper, call now, 801-988-9733, $3carpet.com, 801-988-9733, $3carpet.com. Call today. Attention salespeople, $3 Carpet is currently hiring to help with our high demand. If you're looking for a great sales job with unique and exclusive products, we've got one. Call today, 801-988-9733.
Hey, it's Mark Davis. Got a question. Why is your mobile phone bill going to help Hillary become president of the United States? Answer is, same reason Big Mobile helped Obama win twice. It's what they do. Now Hillary's counting on Big Mobile to help her in 2016. If you're okay with that, don't listen further. But if you don't want to support Hillary or other leftist candidates and causes, switch to EOS Mobile. EOS Mobile. Website is EOScell, EOScell.com to learn more. EOS has the same great nationwide network, high-speed data, voice, pretty much everywhere across the country. EOS has the same devices you have come to love. And with plans starting at $9.99, a plan for every budget. But best of all, EOS Mobile at EOScell.com gives 5% of each bill to conservative causes and candidates. If you're stuck in a contract, they'll buy you out. If you want your phone bill to support conservative candidates, the choice is clear. EOScell.com. Learn more now at EOScell.com. EOScell.com. Same phones, same service, better causes. EOScell.com. EOScell.com.
You took his number, said you were alone, that you'd call him soon. Isn't he the guy who left you crying? Isn't he the one who made you blue?
Oh, we are back. This is the Liberty Lineup Friday show. Jeff Chamberlain, the Hollywood Y guy. We're going to miss Glenn Fry. Hard to believe. Well, I'll tell you, every week we're saying goodbye to an artist that has shaped our life, our culture, and it is something that's a little bit difficult to get used to the idea and the notion. We're all, however, in the same boat. We don't know when that day is going to come. Let's make it count.
They've lost you. Someone's gonna thank.
So here we are back. Yes, the Hollywood Y guy. Lots going on up there in Park City. Actually, when I was driving down, I've never driven down from Park City into the valley on a day that Sundance is in full swing. And I'll tell you, the traffic is going into Park City is pretty much stacked up. We've got a special guest who is going to be with us in just a minute. I want to play a brief little clip here as a way of introducing.
And it shows how the BLM cares about the ranchers and cares about the community. This was done in July, and the BLM started some fires in July. And prescribed fires are not done in July because they have all summer that they need to feed their animals on. And so basically the BLM were burning the ranchers' grass, and as the video will show, many other things. I want you to understand also that this video was filmed less than 2 weeks from the day the Hammonds were sentenced for starting a fire themselves.
So here's the issue. We've got BLM went in and lit fire along the hillside here by the dump, but there's nobody here. It would be easy with a couple of guys with shovels right now to
This is a YouTube clip.
put this out, and we'd have a good fire break, but when the wind hits it, it's going to carry it right on along the hill.
Well, this is a you can actually Google this. You can find it on YouTube, and it is let's see, how long is it? It's about a 10-minute video put together by ranchers up in that area when they were recording the BLM starting fires around their ranches, burning their pasture lands, and actually threatening their livestock, actually burning the livestock, and several of the structures, whether they were barns and actually some homes, were burned down as a result of that. I want to introduce our special guest, Chris Briel, who is calling in from Burns, Oregon. Welcome to the show, Chris.
Hi, how are you today?
Great. Thank you for joining us. How are things up there? Are they heating up? Are they in a status quo mode? That's just a general question, but we're going to be able to get into this just a little bit. And I want to thank you for spending some time with us here on the show.
Oh, thank you. I appreciate that. And my last name is Briels.
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 Yeah, let's get that straight. Thank you so much. So
you bet.
So Chris, you're up there in Harney County, is that right? And up until just recently, you were the fire chief for the county, is that right?
Well, yes, sir. I was the Harney County Fire Chief from 1984 until just recently.
And as a long time, how long have you lived in the area up there?
I moved here in 1978. I moved out here from Colorado.
Wow! So you've raised your family there?
Yes, sir, I did.
And you're part of the community. You've been a part of the community since what is it? 40 years plus?
Well, it's getting pretty close to 40 years, I think.
Oh my gosh! Well, what is going on right now? And we'll cover that. But if you can give us just a little bit of a backstory. Of course, the nation is looking at the media, trying to portray what is going on the ground, who the key players are. And many times, as you know, that is filtered through those who may have an agenda of some kind. What I'm hoping you can feel comfortable here on the Liberty Lineup radio show, where we like to take the correctness out of political correctness and let the truth speak for itself.
Okay.
So what happened? Here you are, and you've been serving as fire chief for decades, and you just resigned. Why? Why did you make that decision? How did that come about?
Well, I, along with being the Harney County Fire Chief, I was the Burns Fire Chief from 1984 to 2006. And I continued being the county chief until just recently, when I had kind of a parting of the ways with the county government for the way they're conducting themselves.
Right. So there's some things going on there. It didn't quite sit right with you, and sufficient that you said, you know what, I've got to leave. What happened to make you feel like you had to leave your long-standing relationship as a fire chief?
Well, I don't know how far you want me to go back. It had to do with exposing some FBI agents. Did you want me to address that, or?
Well, you know what, I think that's kind of at the heart of it, and why don't we talk about it, and then we can do some what I might call backfill story to give some more context to that event. What happened? Well, let's set that event up. Over the last 2 or 3 weeks, we have the media, which has descended. We have agencies, governmental agencies that are on the scene, And in your opinion, and that's all we can ask, is for you to just share with us your perspective, your opinion. Why do you think there's so much attention right now being placed on Burns, Oregon?
Well, I think the attention is focused on Burns, Oregon, number one, because of the way that the Hammonds, Dwight and Steve Hammonds, have been treated, and by Ammon Bundy coming here to lend assistance. And I believe that Ammon being here and going out and taking possession of the refuge headquarters brought it to national attention.
Right.
And so it opened a lot of people's eyes that never even knew where Burns, Oregon was.
Well, suddenly Burns, Oregon is on the map in everybody's minds. And I think possibly there are some locals there, and I'm sure there's two sides of it. There's got to be locals in the community there that are rather fearful of what's going on and unnerved, and it's an unpleasant experience as they try to conduct their daily lives. Others are embracing the issue in a different way. And the fact that Ammon Bundy and the Bundys showed up to give support to ranchers may not be something that's universally accepted and applauded. Would you say?
Well, I guess that's right. Some people didn't like to see Ammon here. When he came, there were some militia people that showed up in support, and there seemed to be right away, there was a lot of fear in town about the militia, just the word militia. You know, people are afraid because there's people here that could show force.
Right.
And so I believe there was a demonization campaign against them right off the bat.
Mm-hmm. Well,
there were
right. The Bundys certainly have a history of being in the media and fighting for a cause, making a stand. Of course, we're talking about metaphorically fighting for a cause here.
That's correct.
So
the whole thing.
Absolutely, and of course, this is absolutely huge, and we want to make sure we get this story correct. So okay, so here you are, and we've got a lot of out-of-towners. Some government agencies are showing up. You've got out-of-town county sheriffs and law enforcement that's showing up. How would you characterize the out-of-towners that have made their presence known and seen in Burns County, Burns, Oregon?
Well, how would I characterize them?
Yeah, I mean, who are these folks?
Well, there are a lot of other law enforcement agencies that have been pulled in here to protect, I guess, to protect the community from the people that are just peacefully sitting out there at the refuge headquarters and not bothering anybody. We have some militia here in town to support what's going on. They showed up here to help. They have been portrayed as people that run around and harass people and make death threats and everything else. And I'm here to tell you right now that is absolutely not why they're here. Mm-hmm. And I don't think that they've been doing any of this stuff.
So you haven't seen it. So from where you're sitting, you haven't seen any of that crazy, wacky militia mentality and action that mainstream media tends to want to really highlight and try to portray that situation as volatile and completely justified in requiring outside assistance to come and keep the community safe. Is that kind of what you're saying?
Yes. All of the law enforcement and stuff that are here to protect us from something, but the something that they're here to protect them, is Ammon Bundy and the people at the refuge. There has been some fear spread throughout the community with some people being harassed and vehicles following people and doing some things to frighten the people.
Right.
And it has not been the militia. I mean, the militia's been here and shoveled out fire hydrants, and they've taken coffee out to the FBI people and the sheriffs, and they're helping any way they can, anywhere they can.
They're being, it sounds like they're being good Boy Scouts to a certain degree. I don't want to put words in your mouth there, but what you're saying, just so our audience understands it, is the quote-unquote militiamen are there in serving the community in a peaceful way. Would you characterize that differently?
I wouldn't characterize it differently. They're here to serve the public in a peaceful way. Some of them are exercising their Second Amendment right and have weapons on their person, but they did not come here to harm anyone.
Okay. So they're acting within the law as far as you can tell?
Yes, sir.
Okay. So what is the other side doing at this point? You said the FBI was involved. You brought that up. How are they involved, and what was your experience with them?
Well, my experience was with them that there's been a lot of fear going through our community with supposed death threats and these death threat emails to local law enforcement and stuff like that. But nothing has really been verified as true and credible. And I kept hearing all of these rumors about these people that are causing trouble in these strange vehicles driving around. And I went to talk to a friend of mine, and he was very upset with me, said that I had aligned myself with the wrong people, and that the militia had been messing around our armory earlier that day, and they'd called the cops on them, but they'd left. And he was really upset with me because he did not understand what was going on.
Wow.
And the fear of the unknown is a huge thing.
It is,
real.
of course. And this is a nice, otherwise peaceful, small-town community, and suddenly people are very nervous and scared, and even your friend, from what he was hearing, looked at you as, sounds like, in many ways, like you said, you've aligned yourself with the wrong people.
Right. And while I was trying to get him calmed down, he got a phone call from his daughter, and he said, "They're back." And he turned to me and he shoved his finger into my chest, and he said, "You better go find out what your cohorts are up to at our armory." And I told him, I said, I don't have cohorts, and I'm not afraid of anything. I will go and find out what's going on, and I'll be back to let you know.
Okay. Sounds reasonable. Sounds pretty reasonable to me.
And so I got in my vehicle, and I followed. There were two cars and one SUV, and I followed them down the street. And the two cars turned right, and the SUV turned left, and I followed them until they got to a stop sign or a stoplight. They were in the center lane of traffic, and when the light changed, they'd been watching me in the rearview mirror, and they cut across the left turn lane and went into a local parking lot for where Big R and McDonald's and Rite Aid are. And they found a little bit, and I just followed them at a safe distance. And then when they finally stopped by McDonald's, I got out and I introduced myself and shook their hands, and I told them my entire name, Chris Briels, and they were Mike and Chuck. And I asked their last names, and we're Mike and Chuck. So
it's Mike and Chuck and Mike and Chuck.
Yeah, I guess.
We're going to be going to a break here very, very shortly. This might be a good time to put a button in it. We're going to come back on the other side of this break, hear the rest of the story. For our listeners, this is the Liberty Lineup Friday show. Jeff Chamberlain, I'm the Hollywood Y guy. This is K-Talk Radio, AM 630. Look forward to hearing from you a little bit later on. If you want to give us a call, 801-254-5855. We're going to be talking about the Sundance Film Festival. We're going to be talking about the boycott of the Oscars. And more importantly, on the other side of this break, we will be talking right back with Chris Briels to tell us what's really going on the ground in Burns, Oregon.
So we bought a pack of cigarettes and this is why the pies.
If you're between the ages of 50 and 75 and want to never outlive your retirement savings, pay attention. We have moved $4 billion into these retirement plans in the past 4 years. That's right, $4 billion. Do you like the idea of never losing money again and turning your retirement savings into income you can never outlive? Would you like to learn the secret on how you can increase your IRA payouts by up to 72%? If you answered yes, call now as the DeJohn Retirement Agents are standing by. Call 800-517-6172. We will send you our free DVD, Paycheck for Life. We will also email your personal quote today, as the annual payouts will amaze you. Grab the peace of mind you deserve that you will never run out of income during retirement. Call 800-517-6172. That's 800-517-6172. 800-517-6172.
Hey, it's Mark Davis. Why is your mobile company anti-gun? Why is your cell phone bill going to help Hillary? What? Didn't know that was happening? It is. Big Mobile, including the company you probably use, contributes all over the spectrum. A little bit here, a little bit there, meaning your cell phone bill pretty well helped Obama get elected twice. Is there anything you can do about that? There sure is. Meet EOS Mobile at eoscell.com, EOSCELL.com. Same service, same phone selection, and they'll save you 10 to 15% versus what you're paying now. And their corporate contributions go only to conservative causes and conservative candidates. Check them out at eoscell.com, EOSCELL.com. And it's local folks who came up with this. Service you love, the phones you want, a better price, and the knowledge that none of your cell phone bill is going to Hillary. Worth it. They'll even buy you out of your current contract so you can switch today. Same service, same phones, better causes. EOS Cell. EOS Mobile, EOSCELL.com, EOSCELL.com.
A recent survey states that 75% of Americans would like to be self-employed, but only 5% are. My name is John Usher with the Entrepreneur Source. I can help you learn about opportunities that use your transferable skills and strengths while giving you the lifestyle, income, and equity build you deserve. I can help you find the right opportunity and then help you get the financing, including paying yourself through the startup phase. Please call me for a free consultation at 801-731-0180.
Jeff Chamberlain, the Hollywood Y guy. Tribute to Glenn Frey, the Eagles. We're going to miss him. And we are back, yes. And we have a special guest with us. Chris, thank you for being with us. The fire chief up there in Burns, Oregon, who decided that he needed to resign. We want to get to that, those issues and the circumstances leading up to it. We have this limited window here, and we kind of left the story off here, Chris, where you had been following some folks who had been slightly suspicious and making some of your friends nervous and looked like they were militia related. A lot of people in town thought they were somehow, and they went to the armory, and you decided to find out who they were, and you introduced yourself to them. And they were Chris and Chuck. Is that right? No, Chuck and who?
And Mike.
And Mike. There you go. So what happened then?
Well, I explained to them that I lived here and I've been here for a long time. There was a lot of fear in our community, and someone had just told me that they were my cohorts and I needed to find out what they were doing. And I said, so I was here to ask them what they were doing at our armory. And they denied being at the armory, said we weren't at the armory. And I said, well, can you tell me what you're doing here? And they said, well, we're just two guys going through Burns looking for a place to start a business.
Was that the first time you'd ever heard anybody showing up in Burns, Oregon, two guys saying, we're here to start a business?
Yeah. And I said, well, you were at the armory because I followed you from the armory. And typically people don't start a business in an armory. Please be truthful with me. I'm being truthful for you. And I want to know what's going on in my community. And they said, well, so we were there. And actually, we're just looking for a place to start a business. And then Mike said, well, actually, we were looking at the deer in the backyard. You know, there's a great big 4-point buck in there, and he started this line of stuff.
So they're going on and on, weaving this this fabricated story, and you're not buying it. At what point in time did they come clean, and how did you find out who they really were? How did that develop?
Well, they didn't. All they said is that we're hungry now, and if it's all right, we go get a sandwich, you know.
Yeah.
And they were dishonest with me completely through.
Right.
And I've had a lot of arson investigation classes, which taught me interview techniques also, and I could tell they were lying. I even told them, I'll buy your deal if you just be honest.
Okay.
They left. They went into McDonald's. I pulled around in front of their vehicle and took a picture, and I went to the sheriff's office to talk to the sheriff. And I could not talk to him.
The reason you couldn't talk to him is why? Is your sheriff somebody you know pretty well? You talk to him kind of regularly there in town?
Yes, sir. I've been on search and rescue for the last 20-some-odd years, and when he took over from our previous sheriff, I know him.
So who told you couldn't talk to the sheriff?
One of his sheriff deputies said that I probably wouldn't be able to talk to him. And when I went to the sheriff's office, there's a chain link fence around the courthouse and the sheriff's office with all these armed guards from other law enforcement agencies there. And one of them met me and wouldn't allow me to go to the sheriff's office. And I told him that I had some information about some suspicious activity. And he told me, just dial 911 and tell them what you have.
Oh, my gosh.
And I said, 911 is an emergent number.
Got it.
And this isn't. These are just suspicious people that I don't know who they are.
Did you ever get into the office to talk personally with the sheriff? Never did.
No.
Okay.
I even asked, could you give him a message personally for me, just to give me a call so I can see how.
So you've got this outside force and people and organization descended on town and really pretty much taking over the normal course of business and managing the affairs of what's going on here in this quote-unquote crisis. How did you ever get the information to the sheriff? Of course, what you're trying to do is run the plates for these out-of-town or suspicious characters?
Yes, sir. And I've got the dispatch landline number in my phone. I've had it in there forever. And so I called and I talked to one of the dispatchers, and I knew her well. And I said, Jennifer, here's a plate number. There's something strange going on. You guys need to check this out. And I'm being kind of treated like I'm a bad guy. Do you think I'm a bad guy? And she says, no, Chris, you're a good guy. And she says, I'll find out. And I said, okay. I appreciate it.
Okay, so you had this inside track with somebody that you had a relationship with. She ran the plates. What did you find out?
I found out by going back down to the armory, and there was a sheriff deputy and a Burns police chief there, and they were there when they got the call, and the sheriff deputy said, "Oh, those are FBI undercover agents, and we're to keep that a secret. Don't tell anyone."
So you were instructed not to tell anybody that they were undercover agents, notwithstanding their kind of suspicious activities and the fact that people were getting rather alarmed at what they were doing and how they were doing it.
Exactly.
So then, how did this lead up to a conversation that you had with a judge and a decision to resign?
Mr. Grasty, I had tried to book. I booked the all-purpose building at the fairgrounds for the Harney County Committee of Safety, where Ammon Bundy wanted to come and talk to the people about his exit plan to leave Harney County.
Right.
And the judge had all of a sudden said, nope, you can't use any county buildings for that kind of stuff. And he wanted me to come up there. He was pretty upset with me for speaking at at the high school the night before.
Right. And what did you say? What went on at the high school? So there's a public event happening, and you spoke. What did you say at the event?
I basically gave my name and how long I'd been there, and that I was nominated to be on the Committee of Safety at a meeting that Ammon Bundy had came to at the fairgrounds, and that I had stayed on that committee because evidently the committee has the power to call in the militia, and that frightened me that maybe there was a way that someone could start a huge armed battle here.
Right.
And I wanted to make sure that nothing like that occurred in my backyard. I don't want to see people get hurt. I don't want to see people get killed. So I remained on the committee. But then when the committee kept trying to have public meetings to find out what the public wanted, we were blackballed. We couldn't have a meeting at the Elks. We couldn't have a meeting in any of the county buildings. Then we went to a meeting. We said we couldn't have any meetings having anything to do with the occupying the refuge people.
Who are these people that are telling you that you can't, as a community, get together and have a meeting?
Steve Grasty, the judge.
So the local judge there.
Right.
And you've known him for quite a long time. He's a local guy.
Over 20 years.
Okay.
Anyway, when I went to speak at the high school, it was our second opportunity to actually speak in public.
Mm-hmm.
And people in the committee said, well, why don't you get up? And this is the same day that I had the encounter with the FBI guys.
Right.
And I explained to them that the county's logo had been taken off of the website that Ammon Bundy had provided for us, and then he gave us the password for it. So the county can.
So there's different things that are going on, and you had probably a list of issues as you tried to weigh in on what was going on from your perspective. But what is it that you said that was inflammatory or hair-raising for the judge?
Well, I guess it was the fact that I didn't keep it a secret that FBI people were in town frightening people, because in front of all of the national cameras and with a microphone in my mouth, and then I told everybody just what I just got you telling you.
Okay. Well, that might have had something to do with it. That was certainly a great opportunity to reveal something that seems to be rather important for the community to know. And at that point in time, you were identified by him and others as being part of a certain camp, so to speak, there. What happened from that point on?
Well, kind of had a discussion with Mr. Grasty after the meeting about him not being truthful, not being honest with us.
Mm-hmm.
And when I left, a couple of the other sheriff deputies that had heard, well, actually, several law enforcement people came up and shook my hand, and I told them, thank you for your service.
These are the out-of-town sheriffs and county deputies who are there presumably to, keep order in the event that there's some kind of an uprising or something. So there you are afterwards, and you're shaking hands with them.
Yeah, and one of them came up and wanted me to recount what had gone on with the FBI, and I told him. And he said, man, we've told them and told them and told them to knock that crap off. He says,
really?
I will talk to them again. Well, the next morning, I'm supposed to be having a meeting with Judge Grasty, and I go up there, and he right off the bat starts insulting me. And there were officers next to his doors and standing around, and he told me that I had no right to follow anybody in this town, and that I had no right to ask anybody any questions in this town, and that it was absolutely none of my business what goes on at the armory. And I said, Steve, what would have happened if one of those guys would have got smart with me, and I'd have smacked him. I said, there I could be either dead or in prison. You know, this is ridiculous. It's crazy. And he held his hands up and he says, you think you're dangerous, that you could hurt someone? You're an old man. You've got nothing. You've got nothing. Your perspective is all wrong. You don't know what's going on. You're messing around with things that you shouldn't be messing with. And you need to go home and be an old man and let us take care of this.
Well, you got to be kidding. So the way you're telling this story is really quite amazing. I'm following every word. I see this unfolding as if it were a movie and a scene in a movie. I want to thank you for how articulate you are in recounting every moment, every almost every word. We are we're getting close to the end of the hour here. I want to tell you something that if it's at all possible, I would like for you to stay with us and finish this up on the other side of the hour. Do you have just a few more minutes?
Sure.
Would you do that? That would be great. This is so important, not only to the radio station here, our show, but people need to hear the truth. And I'm sensing from you, you have no axe to grind. You resigned for a reason, and we are going to hear more about this. This is K-Talk Radio, AM 630, the Liberty Lineup Friday show. I'm Jeff Chamberlain, the Hollywood Y Guy. We're going to have more coming up. On the other side of the hour, we will be back with Chris Briels, who's going to tell us the rest of the story. And then later on in the hour, we have Sundance to talk about. We've got movie reviews. We've got boycotts in Hollywood. Much going on in the world today. We will be back on the other side. Listen to our sponsors, though, and call in 801-254-5855. We will be taking calls and questions and comments on the other side of the hour.
The University of Utah's Enterprise Data Warehouse in SLC has multiple positions available for a Business Intelligence Architect admin. This position requires a master's degree in computer science, information systems, engineering or related field, and experience designing, developing, testing, and implementing secure, scalable, and high-performance business intelligence and analytic solutions. The Business Intelligence Architect admin is responsible for the interface with operations and IT stakeholders to define business intelligence for the organization, oversees the implementation of business intelligence architectures and solutions, and serves as a technical advisor to business intelligence developers. Qualified applicants must submit resume to Sherry Hunter, Director EDW, University of Utah, 585 Comus, number 204, Salt Lake City, Utah, 84108.
Attention business owners. We know that owning a business means getting things done right now. So if your right now list includes a new building, call the Right Now Company. General Steel. We can design a building for your business quickly and save you thousands of dollars. That's right, thousands. You may think General Steel only builds large projects or that you can't afford General Steel quality. Well, check these prices. How about a 40 by 60 foot building for under $22,000? Or even a 50 by 100 for under $35,000? That's right, a 5,000 square foot building for under $35,000. And these buildings all have General Steel quality. Best of all, you can still order a building and have it delivered in time to build this year. How's that for right now? So don't delay. Call General Steel today at 866-96-STEEL. That's 866-96-STEEL. Need more planning? No problem. General Steel can help you with that right now. Call General Steel and be in your new building this year. 866-96-STEEL. That's 866-967-8335.
You're listening to Utah's first #1 talk station. K-Talk, AM 630, KTKK, Sandy, Salt Lake City. The whole truth and nothing but the truth.
D.C. awaits the blizzard. Wall Street rallies. I'm Ann Cates. A blizzard that has the potential to dump up to 30 inches of snow is headed to the Washington, D.C. area. Meteorologist John Trout.
The bullseye of the winter storm remains the nation's capital, where Chief Kathy Lanier of the D.C. Police is advising residents to be off the streets by 3 p.m. today. She reports what emergency responders are expecting.
Very high winds, driving, blowing snow, and this is heavy, wet snow. So there's going to be trees coming down and power lines coming down. This is not a storm to take lightly.
The mayor of Washington, D.C., Muriel Bowser, is warning people that the impending blizzard will have life and death implications. At least 5 people have already died in storm-related crashes in Tennessee, Kentucky, and North Carolina. I'm meteorologist John Trout.
A rally on Wall Street with the Dow up by triple digits, gaining 150 points. The Nasdaq up 99, the S&P up 31. I'm Ann Cates. The housing sector is on the rebound. Danielle Hale of the National Association of Realtors.
In December, we saw a robust bounce back in existing home sales. They were up 14.7% from a month ago and up 7.7% from a year ago at a level of 5.46 million. So December was a very good month for home sales.
The first trial aimed at helping to settle hundreds of lawsuits stemming from General Motors' faulty ignition switches has been dismissed because of questions about the plaintiff's story. The claims of an Oklahoma man whose airbags didn't inflate when his car crashed in 2014 unraveled during the Manhattan federal court trial, and at the request of lawyers on both sides, a judge dismissed the case today. The federal judge had asked the parties to discuss dropping the case a day earlier after he concluded there was merit to GM's claims that a document was doctored and injuries were exaggerated. GM says it is pleased with the decision. I'm Ann Cates.
It's panic time. The boss just asked you when that new building will be completed, and you haven't even started yet. Well, don't panic. Call the name you know, General Steel. You've known General Steel for decades, and you know they'll save you about half the cost and about half the time of conventional construction. But did you know that General Steel has provided buildings for some of the biggest names in business and government? And did you know the General can provide pre-construction planning services for your total project? And I'll bet you didn't know you can get General Steel quality and save thousands. For example, a 40-foot by 60-foot building for under $22,000, or a 50 by 100 for under $35,000. That's right, 5,000 square feet for under $35,000, and all with General Steel's 50-year structural warranty. So don't panic. Call now and lock in some of the lowest prices this year. 866-96-STEEL. Call 866-96-STEEL today. Quick, the boss is coming. That's 866-967-8335.
A Star Wars actress is being honored. Correspondent David Daniel.
Where do you come from? Classified, really. Me too.
Daisy Ridley isn't classified anymore. The breakout star of Star Wars The Force Awakens is set to be honored a few days before the Oscars at the 11th annual Oscar Wilde Awards, held by the U.S.-Ireland Alliance. Ridley has Irish ancestry, and her Star Wars director, J.J. Abrams, will host the event at his California offices.
Kylo Ren may be the most evil force in the galaxy and the biggest movie of all time, but he also makes for a pretty cute cat. Kylo is the name of a new cat who was put up for adoption last Friday on the Facebook page of Monmouth County, New Jersey's SPCA. By the end of last weekend, fans noticed that he looked a lot like Kylo Ren, the villain in Star Wars The Force Awakens. Other social media comments noted a resemblance to Yoda and Dobby the elf from Harry Potter as well. I'm Ann Cates.
Hey, it's Mark Davis. Got a question. Why is your mobile phone bill going to help Hillary become president of the United States? Answer is, same reason Big Mobile helped Obama win twice. It's what they do. Now Hillary's counting on Big Mobile to help her in 2016. If you're okay with that, don't listen further. But if you don't want to support Hillary or other leftist candidates and causes, switch to EOS Mobile. EOS Mobile. Website is EOScell, EOScell.com to learn more. EOS has the same great nationwide network, high-speed data, voice, pretty much everywhere across the country. EOS has the same devices you have come to love. And with plans starting at $9.99, a plan for every budget. But best of all, EOS Mobile at EOScell.com gives 5% of each bill to conservative causes and candidates. If you're stuck in a contract, they'll buy you out. If you want your phone bill to support conservative candidates, the choice is clear. EOScell.com. Learn more now at EOScell.com. EOScell.com. Same phones, same service, better causes. EOScell.com, EOScell.com.
It's a Thought Police free zone. The Liberty Lineup radio show, where independent thought just can't be bought.
I'm an
And we are back. This is the Liberty Lineup Friday show. I'm Jeff Chamberlain, the Hollywood Y Guy, here on AM 630, K-Talk Radio, live, local, two-way talk. We will be taking calls coming up, 801-254-5855. In just a minute, we have special guest Chris Briels, who's calling in from Burns, Oregon, telling us what's really going on there. We're in the middle of his story. You don't want to miss it. And welcome back. This is the Liberty Lineup Radio Show. We have Chris Briels on with us, calling in from Burns, Oregon. Chris was the fire chief up there in Burns, Oregon, and also the county fire chief for quite some time. Recently resigned. We're hearing the story behind that. Welcome back to the show, Chris. Are you still there with us? And now you're back on. Are you there with us now?
Yes, I am.
Great, great. So here you are, just to kind of give a quick little recap, some rather suspicious activity going on the part of a few out-of-towners who represented they were just looking to get involved in a new business in town. They showed up at the Armory. Some of your friends said, hey, Chris, what's going on? Your friends are here. We're really nervous. You're aligned with the wrong people in town. And you went through this process and found out ultimately that they were FBI undercover, I suppose, and the local judge there didn't like the fact that you came up and started vocalizing the truth of the matter, such that you were attempting to try to assuage the nervousness of the situation, keep your fellow friends and townspeople in the community there calm, and to be able to try to manage through this situation. And I think that's about where we left off. What am I missing?
No, I think that's pretty much it.
So what happened at that point? I think you had this, what I would call it would have been a great scene in a movie. Maybe you can recount it for us just briefly. Roll back the tape if you can. What did he say to you? I just can't believe your longtime friend, the judge in the community there, called you and characterized you in the way that he did. What did he say to you?
He told me that I was an old man and that I wasn't dangerous to anybody, that I had nothing left, that I needed to go home and be an old man and get out of the way and not be causing problems. He said that I had absolutely no right to question anyone in my town. He said I had absolutely no right to follow anybody, any place in my town, and that anything that went on at the Armory was absolutely none of my business. And
okay,
I didn't really appreciate that. It felt to me like he was insulting me, trying to get me to just blow up or something.
Yeah. Well, I can't imagine, just from talking to you, that anybody who would have those kinds of cross words for you, that you would in any way succumb to that intimidation. You seem to be the kind of man that would stand up and stand your ground, and with a renewed vigor and energy, stay on course for whatever it is you thought was right.
Well, I don't respond well to intimidation. It just makes me dig in a little bit deeper.
And coming from the judge, he's talking. This is what I find so ironic. You have your judge friend who is telling you about your rights, in a sense. It seems to me that a judge would have a better sense of what our personal liberties are and are not. And he was not on the right side of that issue.
No, not at all. We all have God-given rights, and we have constitutional rights. And he was walking all over all of those.
Wow. So what happened next that led you to resign? What was your thought process, and what happened next?
Well, my thought process was that he's got these officers standing around. He's trying to insult me so that I could get upset, and so maybe he could incarcerate me or something and get me out of the equation. And so I didn't do anything. I asked him, do you have a piece of paper? And he gave me a piece of paper, tore a piece off of a yellow note tab, and I put down the date, and I said, I, Chris Allen Briels, do hereby resign my position as Harney County Fire Chief. And I signed it, and I stood up, and I said, you know, Steve, you have greatly enhanced my perception. I see things very, very clearly now, and you have shown your true colors.
Wow.
And I handed in the paper, and I turned around and I walked out.
Okay. Well, you know, the drama it sounds like the drama is unfolding on different fronts. Last week we had Lavoy Finicum, who was on with his daughter Tara as well, talking about it from their perspective. Since then, I saw a video on YouTube. I'd like for you, I'm going to play just a minute or two of it. I'd like for you to comment on it because it kind of goes to the issue of who's disrupting the community and trying to turn it into something and who's not. I think you may have heard it. We'll see. Let's just play this.
Which is right there. So if it creeps away from the hill, obviously in the foreground there's a lot of fuel.
I'm looking
so
at
it looks like it's set to burn
waging.
French Glen, and that's what they said they would do. So
this is a brush fire.
Here we go. So as you can see, they brought the fire right to us. It was way west last night.
Have you seen this clip?
Oh yes, sir, I have.
Okay, so who made this clip?
A couple of the local ranchers that live in the area of French Glen down there, where
Right.
there was a fire going on at that time.
And this is just recently, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Just shortly after the Hammonds went to prison.
Okay, so the Hammonds went to prison, and suddenly this fire is started. Let's listen to a little bit more of this.
They're not putting it out, they're lighting it.
This is a bunch of bullshit, let me tell you. We're standing at the Krells, and them sons of bitches started at the corner of the road where it leaves the pavement, and they're lighting that son of a bitch on fire all the way around it.
Well, listen, this can go on and on and on. I'll tell you, I've got a lot of relatives who are ranchers and farmers in southern Utah, and their language is mild compared to what they ought to be yelling and screaming about. If you could,
Well, you can't.
Yeah, what do you
can't
think?
Blame.
No. And so just so
can't
our
blame-
audience knows, what were we just looking at? You saw this video before.
We were looking at a video up on the hill above French Glen, Oregon, where the BLM was out there trying to conduct some fire operations. There had been some lightning-caused fires, and they were doing what is a common practice as back burning to control the fire.
Right.
The only thing is they were going on private land, lighting fires. They damaged cattle. They burned cattle. They burned fences. They burned corrals, buildings, everything else. And the Hammonds had just went to prison for burning less than 150 acres. And these guys are burning thousands and thousands of acres and burning private ground up. And
it sounds like it was purposeful. It was purposeful to intimidate the ranchers, to actually destroy property. The livestock were threatened and in some cases burned. There were structures that were burned down. When you see the whole video, it's only a 10-minute video. There's a lot of information, a lot of visual information being narrated by the local ranchers who were taking that video, and it's very, very clear that there was an orchestrated effort to cause damage with the intent to intimidate the ranchers. Is there any other way that somebody watching this video would get any other impression?
no, not really. A backfire is a tool, like I said.
Sure.
But not the magnitude that they were doing. They weren't even close to the fire. They were lighting areas completely away from it.
Right.
And what we're doing is burning all the fuel so that the fire couldn't come through. Well, if if you put it out before it get there, you wouldn't have had to burn all that stuff out.
Right.
You know, there's kind of a common thing that I have heard down through the years by the government firefighter, and that is blacker is greener. The more black there is, the more green they get, because they get paid for fighting on these fires.
Oh, I get it. Green meaning that's where the money is. They're getting paid to do it. So the more black, the more money they're able to deposit into their bank accounts. Can you?
Well,
Go ahead.
It's sad, but that's true.
Yeah. It's interesting how the interests of our government agencies somehow are misaligned with the real interests and the well-being of the citizens they're there to service and protect. That's the topic of another show in more detail. But as it relates to what we're talking about here, we're talking about the well-being, the peace of mind of this little community in Burns, Oregon. We're talking about a lot of emotion going on. We have even your friends and townspeople who seem to be getting the wrong information, maybe even some folks in your own family. I'm not sure, but is the information that, as you see it, is it getting corrected? Are the townspeople right now, are they getting some truthful information? Are people still rather nervous right there on the ground?
People are nervous here. People are still afraid. The BLM and the Forest Service has put a gag order out on all of the employees that they're not to talk about what's going on. They're not to be showing up at any of the public meetings.
Wow.
To see what's going on. It's you know, they're supposed to drive home a different direction each time.
Mm-hmm.
It's kind of crazy. I talked to one of them recently that said that it's gonna get way worse. And I said, what do you mean? They said, look, you don't know, but Ryan Payne has split off from Ammon Bundy, and he's calling a whole bunch more people in, and it's going to get really, really ugly. And then this individual started crying. This is an adult woman, almost 40 years old, started crying. And I immediately got on the phone and I called Ammon Bundy and I said, Ammon, has Ryan Payne split off from you and going to have his own group and calling a bunch of people? And Ammon kind of chuckled. He says, no, where did you hear that? I said, that's what the Forest Service is telling their employees.
Wow.
He said, Ryan's been by my side for a long time and he's not about to go anywhere.
Wow.
He says that's just absolute demonization. That is just fear-mongering. And that's what the higher ups were telling a Forest Service employee.
Wow. And these Forest Service employees, these are your friends, these are community members, and in part that's probably the very reason why the community is divided. Misinformation, disinformation, serving some purpose other than keeping the peace and serving the community the way that they should have.
Exactly. You know, I can't wait for them to start dropping propaganda flyers on us.
Oh my gosh!
You know, it's absolutely ridiculous.
Well, listen.
Why you your employees to keep them scared to death?
Well, when people are operating in fear, in ignorance, you can get people to do what you want them to do. We've seen this over and over again on local levels. Certainly, that's what's going on there. From what I can see and from what you're saying, we're going to have to go to a break right now, and I want to thank you for staying with us and giving us your perspective. We have Chris Briels with us, who recently resigned as a fire chief. Gave us a great little report of what's going on up there, folks. The truth matters, and we need to embrace the truth. That's what we do here on the Liberty Lineup Show. Thank you so much, Chris.
Well, you're welcome. Can I say one thing?
Yes, real quickly.
I think everybody in the United States needs to study our Constitution, and they need to stand up for their rights.
There you go. I couldn't say it any better. What a great button on a fabulous interview. Thanks for being who you are and serving. Thank you, Chris.
Yes, sir.
Meaning your cell phone bill pretty well helped Obama get elected twice. Is there anything you can do about that? There sure is. Meet EOS Mobile at eoscell.com, EOSCELL.com. Same service, same phone selection, and they'll save you 10 to 15% versus what you're paying now. And their corporate contributions go only to conservative causes and conservative candidates. Check them out at eoscell.com, EOSCELL.com. And it's local folks who came up with this. Service you love, the phones you want, a better price, and the knowledge that none of your cell phone bill is going to Hillary. Worth it. They'll even buy you out of your current contract so you can switch today. Same service, same phones, better causes. EOS Cell, EOS Mobile, EOSCELL.com, EOSCELL.com.
Listen to the Alternative Energy Hour with Joe Carey every Thursday from 5 to 6 p.m. right here on K-Talk, sponsored by Vivint Solar.
Are you living with old and ugly carpet? You want new carpet, but it's just too expensive, right? We know what you mean. Introducing $3 Carpet, the most affordable carpet solution on the planet from the exclusive trade show carpet reseller. Our beautiful carpet used for only 2 to 3 days is still just like brand new, but we sell it to you starting at only $3 a yard. It normally sells for $10 to $12 a yard. You'll be blown away. Normally $12 a yard, now just $3. So don't live with that ugly carpet anymore. Call $3 Carpet. It's only $3 a yard. That's 33 cents a foot. Most of our customers save up to 60%. In Draper, call now, 801-988-9733, $3carpet.com, 801-988-9733, $3carpet.com. Call today. Attention salespeople, $3 Carpet is currently hiring to help with our high demand. If you're looking for a great sales job with unique and exclusive products, we've got one. Call today, 801-988-9733.
Those were the days, and you knew when you were there. That's for girls and men, woman. Mister, we could use a man like Herbert Hoover again. Didn't need no welfare state. Everybody pulled his weight. Gee, I roll a sour and great. Those were the days.
Okay, welcome back. This is the Liberty Lineup Friday show. Jeff Chamberlain, the Hollywood Y guy. Did you recognize who that was from? Boy, does that bring back memories or what? Boy, that was late 60s and the 70s. 8 years we had All in the Family on the air, and it was quite an amazing run that show had. That would be Norman Lear, who was the creator of that show, and you may remember the characters. I don't know how many of you watched the show, if it became a part of your family TV history. I'd love to hear from you. We're going to be talking a little bit about that, a little bit about what's going on up there in Sundance at 801-254-5855, 254-5855. Give us a call if you want to weigh in a little bit on what we've been talking about. Any questions? We just got off the phone with Chris Briels, who is calling in from Burns, Oregon, recently resigned fire chief, and has an amazing story that is still unfolding. We're going to probably have him back on the show coming up and give us further updates. Last week we had Lavoy Finicum on the show also, who has become known as the Tarp Man. And I saw MSNBC do an interview with him in a way that you might expect. A very leftist, progressive MSNBC media show to do. They made fun of him. They laughed at him. And I don't know about you folks, but I'm getting a little bit unnerved about being laughed at the way we are here in quote-unquote flyover country. I want to encourage anybody, if they want to weigh in on this, 801-254-5855, to call in and give us a call. We have a caller. I'd like to welcome you to the show. What's on your mind?
Hey, how are you doing?
Good, good. How are you, my friend?
I'm all right. Yeah, you know, I went to
my kid's school last night for a debate. And the debate was on, the NSA and the government surveillance. And they have to, take turns on being for it and being against it, and try to support their decisions. There was a young kid in there. He was a real go-getter, But he said his one of his supports of the NSA surveillance was, or Americans should probably give up a little bit of the Fourth Amendment for some security.
Right. Have you heard that before?
Yes.
It's not a new concept. It's not a new concept, is it? I think that's one of the things they actually debated early on when they formed the Constitution.
And I kind of, disturbed by it. And, it brings me back up to what's going on up in Oregon right now.
Yes.
This is pretty important times in our. This is pretty important history, like going down right now in our country.
It's huge. It's absolutely huge. No question about it. We're living life's drama in a way that we ought to approach it with an exceptional opportunity to be alive at this point in time and witness what's going on. And then the question has to be raised in your mind, what are we going to do about it? How do we participate?
I look at this government and I look at, all the money, and they're talking about how to make our country safe. And meanwhile, on the other flip side, we have open borders. We have people being deported and back into our country, criminally deported, and back into our country within a week's time. And I'm saying to myself, why? We're paying all of this money for that division of government, which, I'm not saying they're not trying to do their job, but their hands are tied, it seems like. And, our country's far less safe having these open borders like they are. And I just wonder, these young kids, I'm just kind of curious as to what they're really trying to teach our children in school here.
Well, you wonder. Well, you don't wonder anymore. All you have to do to find out what our kids are being taught is ask them. And I think it's even they're even transparent. The school board school system. Get one of their textbooks and read it, and you'll know.
Yeah, it's
so what do we do? What do we do? What's the answer here?
Well,
my friend?
I don't know the ins and outs of that whole the legalities of this whole thing in Oregon. I've been reading a little bit on the internet this morning.
Right.
And it seems like these people have water rights. These people have water rights, which allowed them to have browsing rights clear back into the 30s.
Right.
And I'm just kind of curious if that's true or not. Now, I'm sure if they're standing up, it probably is true, I would have to say, for them to be putting this much effort into it.
Yeah, I think so. You got a sense of listening to Chris, of the kind of man he is, the kind of family he has, and the kind of community that they have there. This is a very, for the most part, a very friendly, supportive, small-town community. And the idea that they are all rabble-rousers, anti-government rabble-rousers, just doesn't, that's not the message I'm getting when we talk to them.
And, and I feel the same way. I mean, gosh, I would just love to pay my taxes every year and know that they're fiscally responsibly spending the money in the right manner versus what they're doing right now.
Oh, wouldn't that be nice? Listen, I want to thank you for calling in. Great questions, great comments. This is the Liberty Lineup Radio Show, Friday show. Jeff Chamberlain, the Hollywood Y Guy, right here on AM 630, K-Talk Radio, live local two-way talk, 801-254-5855. And we will be taking your calls a little bit later on. If you've got anything that you want to weigh in on, feel free. We're going to be talking a little bit about Sundance and what's going on up there, a little bit about Norman Lear, the documentary that I saw last night. It was the opening film. It was very well done, and it's one that I think you should all go see. And with that, I would like to play this for you.
fighting an illegal and immoral war. Well, if they don't like it, they can lump it. Take it down the road and dump it. What are you saying America love it or leave it?
That's right, because this is American land that I love.
Well, I love it too, Mr. Bunker, and it's because I do it. I protest when I think things are wrong.
Then stand beside her and guide her.
The right to dissent is the principle of law which this country was faced.
With the light from above.
Listen to me. It's in the Bill of Rights. You don't listen to reason. I mean, you're not listening to anything. You're totally closed-minded. You're prejudice. Not anymore. I'm leaving. You're prejudice.
My home, sweet
Okay. All right. Enough. It does bring back memories. I grew up with All in the Family. I'm not sure I would call it a family TV show. It certainly was for many families across America. It became a #1 show and very representative in many ways of who Norman Lear is and what he's all about. I would love to bring on, I think we may have my producer, Joe. Are you there, Joe?
I am here, Jeffrey, and I'm boycotting the Academy Awards this year because there are no nominees that have disabilities. And since I was born with one, I find that very insulting.
Well, you should. You should. Because you know what? I don't know why they're not writing more roles for for you and me.
Yeah.
I have my own disabilities.
That's right. That's right. Yeah.
Oh, isn't that crazy? What's going on? What do you think about that? Of course, we've got all kinds of people right now that are coming out and boycotting the Olympics. We have what's her name? Jaden Pickett Smith. That'd be Will Smith's wife.
Right.
Kind of led the
the
charge.
Olympics. You meant the awards.
Did I say that? Boycotted the Olympics. That goes back to 1980. See, I'm stuck in the Norman Lear era. Oh my gosh.
Right. Well, it's just one of those things right now where we feel that boycotting and making a statement, which I totally agree with. I totally agree that if people need to make a statement, that's fine, but you have to change the entire culture. That's the problem. And that's the biggest problem in our society, in any society. How do you change the culture?
Well, what do you think about the culture?
Well, I think the culture, I mean,
we're talking about right now.
You know me for years.
Yeah, but changing which culture? The culture in Hollywood or the American culture? Because
we have to change the American culture, not just the Hollywood culture. I was born with a disability. I have a paralysis of my right arm. You've known that. You've cast me in films. I've been cast in films and whatever. And the whole thing about it is, though, there's been times I've walked into an audition and I've had a director say straight to my face, "I'm sorry, I can't cast you because you're disabled," and that would cause a problem in this particular role. I didn't get upset. I didn't boycott the movie. I understood. There's certain things I can do. There's certain things I can't do.
You didn't take it personally.
I did not take it personally. That's right.
Well, do you think that Will Smith is taking it personally? He wasn't even nominated. Did you see Concussion by any chance?
No, but I've read a lot and I've seen clips, and he does look marvelous.
Oh, he is good.
He does look like he did a fantastic job, and I think it's ironic that his wife Jada decided to go ahead and boycott, and the next thing you know, Will's on the bandwagon as well. So that's fine. That's fine. But why isn't the host, right? The host of the Academy Awards, because they're really pressuring him. Chris Rock, is that right?
Yeah, Chris Rock.
Yeah. Why isn't he boycotting? That's the big question out there by all of the African Americans who have asked him to boycott. Why isn't he boycotting?
And he's not boycotting.
He's not boycotting. Not as of today. No. And I know they don't make a lot of money doing the hosting. I've researched that. And, it isn't millions of dollars. It's like $15,000 or something. And
okay.
Chris
it's probably guild minimum plus 10.
Exactly. So, we're back to square one, Jeffrey. We went through the Civil War, and we've had supposedly race issues even in the Civil War. A band of African Americans had to form their own infantry. We've seen movies on that and those type of things.
Tuskegee Airmen.
Have we come a long way? Well, in some respects, yes. In some respects, no. But it's our culture. That's the way we are.
Well, hold on a second. Is it our culture, the United States culture, that is racist more than others, or is it humanity we're talking about, Joe?
No,
that's what I'm talking about.
I think it's about differences.
Well, what do you mean differences?
Well, when we're different, whether we're blue, green, red, have a handicap or in a wheelchair, whatever, there's just differences, and because we don't understand differences, we call it racism sometimes.
Okay, that's what we call it, but I wonder if the application of the term racism is just overused, and it's too broadly used to include what is very much natural and okay. What I mean by that is, like you just said, we are all tribal. I think we go back years, generations to humanity and in our roots. And like you said, we fear that which we don't know and understand. We have instincts that are protective. We want to protect ourselves. We want to protect our family. We want to protect our tribe. And we work together to do that. Now, you get another tribe on the other side of the mountain, and they wear their hair a little differently. They weave their clothes a little bit differently. And you don't know who they are personally. And therein lies, I think, at its core, what we are dealing with. We are fearful of things that we don't know. We are protective. And how much of that is natural and how much of it is racist and destructive? That's a question that I have.
Well, it's destructive when it turns violent.
Right.
Obviously. And it's destructive when it alienates us. And what alienates us more in the fact of we're going to boycott something because it reminds me a little bit, it's my ball, I'm going to take it home.
Mm-hmm.
If you won't let me play,
right,
then it's my ball and I'm going to take it home.
Right.
And it's the idea of, and I've mentioned this before to you, that I went back and I looked about how many African Americans have been nominated, and there have been a lot nominated.
Mm-hmm.
And sometimes, my wife mentioned this, sometimes it takes away from the wonderful awards, such as when Sidney Poitier won.
Right.
Denzel Washington won.
Right.
Does that mean that they only got it because they were a token African American?
Mm-hmm. Well, you bring a good point. If we're talking about right now what's going on with the Oscars, you'd have to ask, okay, who of the best actor category would you take off? Would you take off Bryan Cranston from Trumbo? It was he did a fabulous job. Truly was an unbelievable performance. Matt Damon in The Martian. Yeah, I think, boy, I'll tell you, that whole movie was built around his performance. He did a fabulous job. Leonardo DiCaprio in The Revenant, unbelievable. I actually think he's probably going to get it. And honestly, when I saw Michael Fassbender in Steve Jobs, I thought, you know what? That's Academy. He's going to be nominated for sure. I haven't seen Eddie Redmayne in The Danish Girl. I want to see that. But who do you take off? Who do you take off to put on Will Smith?
Well, and the other thing that was mentioned was, we're not appreciating the how can I put this?
Hey, Joe, Joe, can you keep that thought in mind? It's what are we not appreciating is your thought. We're going to come back. Can you stay with us on the other side?
I'll stay with you.
All right, we're here with Joe, producer Joe, here on the Liberty Lineup Radio Show, the Hollywood Y Guy, on AM 630, K-Talk Radio. We'll be right back.
I recently met with a homeowner who was ready to retire but felt trapped in his job because his retirement funds had gone down substantially over the last few years, and he needed the income from his job to make payments on his home. In reviewing his options, he realized a reverse mortgage would pay off his current loan, give him some money to take care of much-needed repairs, and eliminate his monthly mortgage payment completely. If you own your home and you're 62 or older, you may qualify for a reverse mortgage that will help you meet your retirement goals. I have years of experience helping Utah homeowners and will help you find the right solution for your financing needs. With a 10-minute call, I can help you find out how you qualify and how a reverse mortgage can help you. Call me today, Alan Blood, 298-5887. That's Alan Blood with Capital Financial, 801-298-5887, NMLS number 3146.
The Enterprise, Utah's business journal, is for people who are serious about being well-informed. Published since 1971, the Enterprise provides the local news you won't find anywhere else. It's the must-read newspaper, available in print and online. Find info and tips that can save or earn your company thousands. Want to reach decision makers? Discover news and information that will help you open doors to new businesses you can add to your bottom line. Sign up now for your weekly subscription, and you'll receive the Enterprise, Utah Business Journal's annual Book of List publication with contact names, addresses, and phone numbers of who's who in the Utah business community. Visit slenerprise.com or call 801-533-0556 to subscribe now. For a little more than $1 a week, you can join those who demand to be in the know. Subscribe now, and with your annual subscription, you'll receive $500 in additional perks absolutely free. Again, visit slenerprise.com or call 801-533-0556 today.
The University of Utah in Salt Lake City is hiring an assistant professor. The assistant professor in the Honors College will teach the intellectual traditions curriculum designed to stimulate students to be intellectually adventurous and provide them with a common honors experience, plus honors thesis mentoring and other efforts in support of student success. This position requires a PhD in English, history, or philosophy, and evidence of successful teaching at the university level, as well as experience with curricular development and mentoring of undergraduate humanities majors, the ability to teach transnational issues in the history of technology and literature, and have evidence of a major journal publication. Qualified applicants must submit a cover letter addressing teaching and research interests, as well as how you would enrich the honors college's liberal arts education, CV, contact information for 3 references, a proposed intellectual tradition syllabus to Cindy Brager, 1975 Detrobian Street, Salt Lake City, Utah, 84113.
You know something, Archie? Just because a guy is sensitive and he's an intellectual and he wears glasses, you make him out a queer.
I never said a guy who wears glasses is a queer. A guy who wears glasses is a four eyes. A guy who is a fag is a queer.
You know you're right, Archie. You're right. The British are a bunch of pansies. Pansies, fairies, and sissies. And the Japanese are a race of midgets. The Irish are boozers. The Mexicans are bandits.
And you Polacks are meatheads.
Okay. All right. Yeah. Okay. Do you remember All in the Family? It has everything to do with what we're talking about here, Joe.
Yeah.
We are here, K-Talk Radio, AM 630, the Hollywood Y Guy, on the Liberty Lineup Radio Show with my producer, Joe. We're talking about Hollywood. We're talking about the themes of Hollywood media, television, films, and racism right now is what we're talking about, because we are highlighting the recent boycott. Some of the African-American actors out there are standing up and saying, you know what, this is ridiculous. How is it that of the 40 different slots for the main acting categories, not one of them is African-American? So the question is the Academy racist? Is the Hollywood Academy racist? And then we want to talk a little bit about Norman Lear and All in the Family. Isn't that fundamentally what the accusations are saying?
Right, and I was just going to finish my comment. What I was going to say was what the mainstream media accepts as an acceptable type of film is what they were trying to say, that we're ignoring that. But as I'm looking at some of my past history, I'm noticing Denzel Washington was nominated for Malcolm X. I noticed that Jamie Foxx was nominated for Ray. So that isn't really a true statement, so to speak, because they're talking Out of Compton should have been nominated, but it wasn't from the mainstream.
It was an independent film. It wasn't.
It was an independent film. Exactly.
Well, listen,
as we know about independent film, because you've made several of them.
Well, yeah, and of course the category of independent films is pretty broad. There are a lot of films that have risen from the independent market and creative community and have been rewarded, of course, with Academy Awards. It can happen, but
exactly. And the other thing we talked about, Jeff, is that the president of the Academy Awards at this particular time is an African American lady, and so she's come out and said, yes, we need to go ahead and put more people. I think it's 3,000 people on the committee. We need to put more diversity on the committee.
Okay.
Well, that's a step in the right direction. If that's going to help, I think that's a great idea.
Well, I'll tell you, it was certainly one of the provocative, transformational themes that Norman Lear, of course, I'm coming back to that, having just seen the documentary up there. I'd suggest anybody and everybody ought to go see it for a variety of reasons. Number one, it's historical. It is historical, and he played such an important role in television on the creative side with respect to pushing themes and messages and social content and shaping our society at a real pivotal time. The late 60s, Vietnam War, Nixon, all of that was going on. There was a true social revolution going on, and he was the man in Hollywood that was creating the content to comment on that. And there's this ongoing debate within Hollywood as to whether or not Hollywood is more reactionary or are they transformational. And at that point in time, I think there's no question that he played a major transformational role.
Well, I think it's important to note that Norman Lear is 93 and alive and well.
Yes, he is. You should see him up on the stage. He lost his thoughts a couple of times. At 93, we had a very forgiving audience there at the Eccles Theater. He was eloquent. The filmmakers did an excellent job. But one of the other reasons that I thought our audience would want to go see this, and they should, I would encourage them to, is because you get real insights into the creative mindset and attitude of the Hollywood creative elites. They do. I mean, it goes without saying. Anybody that has a megaphone, anybody that has the power of the media behind them and feels passionately about something, you can't expect that something is not going to find its way into the fabric of the storytelling. And he, understanding who he is, who he was, is really important to understand the kind of product that he was producing. I want to play one more little clip here because this, I thought, was very revealing about why it's important to understand who our storytellers are in Hollywood, what their mindset is, what their belief system is, and are they really pushing their agenda, and who is being affected by that. Listen to this. This is Jon Stewart.
Where I think I learned how to process complex thoughts, things that I really cared about through the lens of comedy, was watching Norman Lear shows.
What could make me prouder? We were all serious people. Comedy was our business, but there was something on our minds.
There was something on our minds. That was a very nice way and kind of a benign way of saying we have some thoughts and messages that we want to communicate to the American public. And I'm not sure, Joe, that everybody realizes it. And what's interesting here is that it's being done through comedy. And people don't realize, I don't think, how powerful comedy is in communicating messages. If the writers and the community can get people to laugh at something, at themselves. I'm not saying laughing is not a good thing, but it is a powerful way of persuasion, of persuading people to think differently. Would you agree?
Yeah, and we have new shows. I know you don't watch a lot of television, but Off the Boat is a new show, and it deals with a minority group, like a Korean group or something like that, a family. We're seeing their culture introduced, and that's kind of a very funny kind of a show. It's been renewed this next season, and also there's I think called the New Black or something, is a racial type of situation where we're noticing, again, their culture. I think it's so important that Norman Lear was obviously one of the initiators of this kind of television. Now, I read an article that said, would Norman Lear type of material work today? What is your thought about that, Jeff?
Yeah, I don't think it does. In fact, again, it kind of goes back to the unique time of our country's history. And at that point in time, he was able to galvanize what inherently is a big part of the psychology of artists and in Hollywood. And they are all very much cause-driven by nature. They want to be rebels without a cause, but certainly rebels with a cause. And they had every reason to embrace the cause of the time. And they did it so well. The writing was so well done. The acting, Carol O'Connor, oh my gosh, what a brilliant actor he was. All of them were. And it's kind of funny, especially now as I think back on it. I was able to rub shoulders with these guys, and I had no idea that I was rubbing shoulders in living history, that it was going to be so profoundly important and transformational.
Well, we're talking about water cooler conversations that I remember.
Mm-hmm.
We would talk about All in the Family. Mm-hmm. We would talk about the issues, which probably I think maybe would have not been part of the discussion if we didn't have Norman Lear and some of that programming.
Absolutely. You know, discussion is always good. I think they embraced a lot of issues that were otherwise, up to that point, swept under the carpet, and that's all good. But we just have to realize that just having a discussion is not the end of the story, so to speak. We need to know who's having the discussion, who's framing the issue, what their agenda is, and what are we laughing at. And I don't think that we, the American public, do that. Do you know what I mean?
Well, of course. And why don't we? You know, you're the Hollywood white guy.
Yeah.
Why don't we? Why sometimes do we get upset? Why do we want to be violent? Why do we get, defensive so often instead of a nice debate, a nice discussion? As that one man said, he attended a debate, I think he said, just recently. And debate is fine, and discussion is fine.
Good. But let's level the playing field to a certain degree, and then let's also understand who's debating and what their biases might be. And I think that's the problem that I have. Let's have an honest debate. We hear that term a lot. Let's have an honest debate. Level playing field without the cards being stacked against us. That, to me, is when truth can reveal itself. I think just a thought occurred to me. It's so funny because, we heard a couple of clips where Meathead, and that would be Rob Reiner, who's, of course, gone on to be a very successful director and producer. And he is, there's no question about it, he's a very progressive, leftist, liberal in terms of politics.
Right.
When I met him for the first time, I was on the Universal lot. It was in 1975, and circumstances were such that I found myself in a limo on the Universal lot with him sitting there. We were being transported to a set. I got a ride to, I think I was working as an extra at that time as a summer job, and here I was with Meathead. And it was kind of funny. It was just kind of a good 10, 15 minutes of downtime. And in this limo, they had a TV set. Of course, at that point in time, nobody had TV sets in limos. It was really unbelievable that they did. And he was looking at, it's kind of surfing through the channels. He stumbled across a rerun of All in the Family. And he got such a kick out of it. I'll never forget it. It's just he and I in this vehicle, and he's looking at himself, all in the family, and he said, "Oh my gosh, I have really made it." He just went through he couldn't believe that here he is in Hollywood, in a limo, on the Universal lot, watching a rerun of himself. And I just thought that was really kind of fun, sharing in his celebration of stardom.
Well, take yourself back, though, Jeffrey. Remember the first time you saw yourself on the big screen. Did you get that excited?
Oh, my gosh. Yeah, we don't even want to describe that scene. I had one line on it, and it was not even a line. It was a grunt.
Yeah.
And it got me my A card, my screen
excitement,
actors.
I think, that people get sometimes.
It is fun, and you know that experience as well.
Right.
And you've done so much. You are a fabulous actor, performer, director, and acting coach. Oh, my gosh, Joe, what a thrill it is to be able to have spent years with you. I consider you such a good friend and confidant, as you know, and it's always fun to be able to have you on the show. You're doing a lot of stuff all the time behind the scenes, but I want to thank you for joining us today, Joe.
Hey, thank you. And you know what, folks, have a wonderful day and a wonderful week coming up, and work on those New Year's resolutions, as Jeff professed. And remember, it's new, and so keep on working on those treadmills.
Well, there you go, my friend, and you too as well. We'll talk soon.
All right, buddy.
You got it. Well, listen, folks, this is it. This is the Liberty Lineup Radio Show. We're coming to an end, and we are getting ready to launch into the weekend. Sundance is going to be fun, exciting. There's a lot going on up there. Stars and the producers and the industries running all over town. There's probably still ways. The best way to get in and see movies up there is waitlisted. Get there like 2 hours beforehand. And there's apps you got to get familiar with to get your numbers, all that kind of stuff. This is AM 630 K-Talk Radio, live local two-way talk. The Liberty Lineup Show. I'm the Hollywood Y Guy, and it's been great being able to spend just a little bit of time with you. Our sponsor, EOS Mobile, we want to thank them for being our sponsor. Go to EOS Mobile, eosmobile.com to get more information about how your cell service can support conservative causes. There we go, folks. Embrace the day, embrace the weekend. God bless.